Hello and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup Podcast, episode 160, the big 160. I'm your host, Tommy, joined by John.
How's it going?
Good, busy, crazy work week. Excited to be doing this podcast. Got a lot to talk about this week. We're going to be talking about Aether Drift Limited. I finally got to do it. Treated me well, but not sure I like it. There's arena achievements now, which may have their hooks in me for no reason other than it's a button that glows when you do a thing. And then, yeah, commander brackets are a thing now. Game changers, what are they? Pokemon Battle Styles sold out at Pokemon Center, so it's finally gone. Does that mean anything? Star Wars, going to talk about nothing this week. And then Flesh and Blood, going to talk about some old Flesh and Blood and what's happening and box wise, because there are some movements finally, which is nice to see.
Crazy spikes and still some low spots, but we'll go through it.
Yeah. Sorcery, new low for beta boxes.
Yep.
And of course, the ever fun, ever evolving, ever changing economic news to round us out the week.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't get to play this week. I thought I was going to get to play this week. I had a Magic Day scheduled for yesterday, but then the kiddo in the house that we do it got sick.
Yeah.
Very sick, so we canceled.
It is sad.
It is sad. I hope he feels better. Apparently he's feeling better today, but yeah, no Magic week for me. It's next week now, I think.
Well, we'll find a time. But yeah, I drafted Aether Drift. I went Demir Artifact, my first run. Got the 7 wins. I did have 2 losses, but I got 7 wins for the first time on Arena, which was super cool. And it wasn't a quick draft, so I felt even more validated. And a lot of them were pretty decisive. But a lot of them were... It's a very interesting format, but it's also a very easy format to just be like, oh, I bricked in deck building. So I feel like early on in this format, just drafting safe, you will do well, which is kind of cool. But you have to know what that means. So you know how, as we've been going through our limited journey and learning different things, like, you know, you gotta make room for 17 lands. You gotta make room for X amount of creatures. You gotta make room for X amount of sorcery and spells. Like, that's how your deck should be built. In that creatures section, there's a lot of vehicles in this set.
They don't work without creatures.
You need creatures to saddle and to crew these things, because there's both saddle and crew in this. Some of them, the vehicles are very well designed, however, with that, like, they knew that, obviously, when designing it. So it's just something you have to be aware of when drafting. Because there are ways that it kind of saves you. Like, there's a blue one that on your opponent's turn, it crews itself. So it's like a 3/3 that comes out as a vehicle, but doesn't do anything on your turn, but whenever it's your opponent's turn, it's a 3/3 blocker for you, and you don't even have to crew it. Then there's another one that creates a Thropcopter, and it only crews 1, so it kind of creates the creature that you need to crew it. So a lot of really neat, interesting mechanics in this set. I think they did a really good job. It is it is not an aggressive format, even though speed may make you think that it is.
No. I called that right away with this stinking charge up mechanic. I was like, this has got to be slow. It's got to be a slow set for that to even make any sense.
No, like, as in, like, the aggro decks, it seems like they always spun out. Like, it just isn't. There are archetypes built to do that, but they aren't strong, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
it felt like it was always going to be slow because of what's that mechanic, the charge up one?
Start your engines.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, the only way this makes any sense is if the format is slower. It has to be.
Yeah. there was a lot of stalemate boards just waiting for one person to break through. Green is very strong, the big beasties.
Mm,
Just because you don't need to crew them, they're more of like the saddle team.
okay.
And so they just have an inherent advantage of if you keep your creatures out, like you don't need to worry about crewing as much. It's like, oh no, I couldn't saddle this, so I couldn't get the bonus, but I can still
Yeah.
attack with it, kind of a
Yeah.
thing. I tried to go green white and then failed because someone else was in both of those lanes. So I ended up doing a 3-color on my current run. So I'm green, white, black, and I'm 2-1 right now. I think 2 or 3 or 1. So 3 colors is possible. It's not doing as bad as I thought it would be. There's a lot of mana fixing. Like I have this one vehicle that whenever I attack with it, I can go search my library for land and put it in. And then there's a card with loot on it. It's an enchantment. I think it starts your engines. It's 1 green. And then at max speed, you can destroy it. Or no. At any speed, you can destroy it for 3 and a green. And search your library for land equal to basic land equal to your speed and add them to the battlefield tapped, which is really good.
That seems like a really strong ramp.
Add 4 lands.
Yeah.
So it's basically like, all right, oh, I'm playing 3 colors. Okay, I'll grab 1 green, one of each color, and it'll be fine. Because not too many things have multiple color pips, thankfully. So it does seem like a set that could easily end up with 3 color archetypes, but I'm thinking, but they aren't on the draft card that we always reference for their archetypes.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm thinking Tarkir might be the next set with the dragon clans and stuff.
Yeah, it could be. I'd be a little surprised, frankly, because I feel like they only do that in the
Master sets.
yeah, like the big sets, the fancier sets. But I have very limited experience with this, so I could be completely.
But I mean,
wrong.
some sets are just turned into 3 color sets by the community.
Sure, and Tarkir is dragons, and dragons and 3 color does kind of make sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what Tarkir would be because I was very down on Aether Drift, but
So
when
what
we
are you
first
now? Now that you've played it, right? There's the pre-released opinions. There's the early impression opinions. Now post-release opinion. What do you think?
we'll probably draft this once or twice, most.
Yeah. I'm still not excited about it. I hate vehicles.
There are just so many. Yeah,
I just don't like vehicles, and I don't really like the theme. I'm glad they touched on old mechanics. I think that was a good idea, but I just don't like the set in general.
yeah. I could see this being one of those that's not super fun, is enjoyable on Arena, but the amount of triggers and mechanic things to remember for paper with the vehicles and everything and how everything's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is going to be one of those, like, we'll draft it once or twice, but the first 1 or 2 times you do it, you're going to mess up something.
So here's the question to touch on the market stuff.
Yeah.
Current collector box is down to 235. As Rudy said, it's the first to crash after release in a long time.
Yes.
If the supply is similar to what they've done in the past and they didn't overprint this for some arbitrary reason, then in the next month or so, these 200 boxes will disappear and we'll be at 300 or so. And say it's a weak set, so it's 285. You know what I mean? Like, it will probably go to that level just from supply.
I think it'll go to 300 from supply.
Yeah, I think so too. So this is ideal time to buy. I remember thinking about it at the last collector's box for the standard set. I was like, oh, it's 235. I should probably get it. And the next time I looked, it was already like 270. It went real fast. This one will give you a little bit more time, but probably not much more, like a week or so.
Yeah, with the serialize in it. Because like Foundations doesn't have a serialize.
Well, Foundations is different. It's because it's core staples. with
Yeah.
fancy versions.
No,
so
I know.
that's why people are buying that one. But
And Bloomborough
yeah,
doesn't have.
Bloomborough, everyone liked the fancy little critters and the critter tokens because they're cute.
Okay, so maybe Duskmorn is the best comparison.
Maybe, yeah.
But Duskmorn doesn't have it serialized.
That's right. It
Yeah.
doesn't have any. It
No.
didn't have even one. Okay,
No.
yeah.
No. So I think
What's the serialized one in this? I feel like serialized doesn't matter when they just do one.
it's the Aether Spark.
Yeah, they just did the one though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
1
so
of
it's
500.
basically non-existent. Yeah, and so I don't think most people take that into account. I'm sure it adds a little bit, but just because it's so freaking rare, most people just kind of ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah, because Innistrad is also down. I think it's. I think Innistrad has to deal with this as well. I think people kind of had to choose: am I going Innistrad Remastered collectors, or am I doing Aether Drift? Because it was what, like 2 weeks apart, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
3
they
weeks?
were so close. Yeah.
And now we have a while until Tarkir. Because
So
Innistrad Remastered's holding. It's come down. It went from like
Yeah,
336 down to
hard to
300.
compare them to each other though, just because
They have
one's
one.
remastered.
Yeah, and but they both have one single collector, or one single serialized of 500.
Yeah, that's
Is the
the one
similarity.
comparison.
And I wonder if
Yeah.
Tarkir will continue that, because now it's 2 in a row.
I'm guessing they're gonna have at least a chunk of time where that's the case,
Yeah.
just because it feels like they experimented and they
No
like it
way
and they're
Final
pushing it
Fantasy
out.
only has 1 of 500.
Maybe, maybe not, or maybe
That
they
would be.
stick with it for the sake of
Yeah.
its collectability. That would probably make that one crazy
No,
because
what I'm saying is, I bet you there's more than one serialized card, and maybe they
Yeah,
do the
but
250 again.
I'm saying if they did one serialized card, that would make that crazy.
Yeah.
Because it is unlike Aether Drift, where the collectability is just purely the fact that it's a serialized card and it's a
It's a
card
playable
people wanna
card. I
play.
think it'll be a playable card.
Sure. What I'm talking about though is Final Fantasy is collectible in its own right.
Correct.
So
Yes.
having a very rare serialized card and something that is an IP people just want to collect the IP of,
Correct.
that's a very different dynamic. That would make that box skyrocket, in my opinion, versus a generic playable card that, who cares?
Yeah.
They'll print something different, in a year or whatever that's similar or better or whatever. So I don't know. That one I feel is a different game just out of its IP focus.
Yeah. I think there's something going on with just the two sets hitting so close together and money being split between them.
That's a factor. Plus the economics. I mean, we'll talk about it in the macro situation, but there's more and more signs that people are having a hard time right now. So I think money is being pulled back in general.
Yeah.
The general like retail money, not the investor money, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. People are not so quick to spend.
Interesting. The booster box and play box is down quite a bit. 109 now. It was like 115 last time we talked about it, but
it was in pre-order, so the amount of people that could list it.
Sure, yeah, but we said it was like this is probably going to go down, right?
Oh yes,
and we've had sales under 100 at this point, which is the first play box for it. Now remember, less packs. So we assumed it would be less, but
we assumed it'd be around 100.
I would say this is lower than we were thinking, because when we were like 115, we said, yeah, that's about right. Remember? Because the other ones were going for like 125, 130 with the extra packs.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. So selling at 99 is below where the expected target was. Now, granted, if you go back to when they first announced the lower pack number, we said they're trying to target like $100 box. Remember?
Yeah.
And that's where they're getting. Now, is this good, bad, or otherwise? I think it will help sell boxes. But I don't know if it'll help sell enough, especially with Aether Drift. I just feel like this theme isn't the best theme.
It's not.
I've said it since they announced the theme. I was like, Death Race. I hate vehicles. I think that was my first line about this.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. Let's see how the next few standard sets go, and we can do some comparison on that with the less packs and all that.
Yeah, this is
If
the
they,
first
yeah,
data
if they
point for
get
it.
these down to this
But the
$99
third data point's going to be
box,
Final Fantasy, and it's not going to count.
no, that's not a standard. Oh God, it
It
is a
is. It
standard.
is,
Fuck,
John. It
that's
is.
so stupid. I still hate that for the sake of market comparisons because that doesn't count. Like that's not
Exactly.
what
We
I
can't
mean
count
when I
that as
say
the third,
standard.
and then
Yeah,
Tarkir will only be the second.
yeah. That's
So then we need to wait till
that is
Space
tricky.
Opera.
Are they actually going to do a play box of?
Mm-hmm.
They have to,
They
right?
have
Because
to. It's a
it's standard.
standard set.
That's wild. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Well, yeah. Well, this is the first year they're doing this. We'll have to see how it plays out. But I don't know what I don't. I don't think I like that. Oh yeah, yeah. What are they doing? Magic, what are you doing?
I don't know. I'm
At least
enjoying it.
they made the collector boxes collectible. I
They did.
appreciate that.
They did. I mean, we haven't had a murders since Murders of Karlov.
It's true. I think this is the closest to it, or will be.
Yeah.
I think
They're
this will
just,
be the
I think, the
set
amount of
that
collector
dump.
boxes there just aren't, and there's just a certain amount that get bought up no matter what
Yeah.
set.
Yeah, agreed. And again, it's because one, it's a nice lottery ticket that
Yep.
for some people is affordable. Two, it's nice versions that you want in your commander deck or
Yep.
whatever, right? And three, there's the potential high hit,
Yep.
of the whatever the Radiant Lotus Pokemon version, Serial, whatever the hell
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
All the crazy chase is in there. Um, I don't think I'm buying this one either. But I kind of I'm pretty sure I said that long ago that I wasn't going to buy this one. It's because I have no interest in Aether Drift's theme.
I,
I'm not looking for inspiration. I bought the one thing I'm going to buy, just commander decks. They're on their way, and I will rip them apart for other purposes, which
yeah.
was the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I picked up collectors and I picked up play. But both at a price. Like I got the collectors at 200. So still happy with that. I don't know. When I see that as a pre-order and you take a look at the past ones, even the worst it could dip is to like what store cost of 180, 190.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So it's I don't know. But also I'm not seeing it at distro. Or it's limited.
It sells out. All the collectors sell out
yeah.
of distro basically immediately in pre-order period.
It's
now.
just how
They
how
have been
fast
for like
does
a
it
year
sell?
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah. It's just how fast do they sell once they're out.
Yeah. And then there a second wave, which, they
Right.
may do that. Like, and when I say a wave, I don't mean like a second printing. I mean like distro held back and then they put it back up.
Yeah, because you can't do another printing.
Yeah, they do tend to do that. There tends to be a second offering of it later at a higher price.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is what Pokemon's doing too.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Radiant Lotus apparently has all sorts of degenerative combos.
In what format?
Standard.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in standard yet.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, I have not played Aether Drift standard yet.
Yeah, that's. I was wondering if you had yet because you've been doing the drafts. But
I've
yeah,
only
I
been doing
saw
drafts.
an article and it was like there's like 3 or 4. It's not infinite combos, but they are you win combos because standard has a lower life total, right?
Yep.
It's hard to get it going. One of them was with Wish Claw, which is back in standard now. I think it came back in Foundations. And then so it's an all black combo, and then there's this third card to it as well. And then another one was I think, what was it? Was it red black or red? I don't remember. There were several combos with it. People were starting to get a little crazy with it, and obviously with 4 of a kind, you can get somewhat consistent, right?
Yeah.
On it. And because of the lower life totals, when you pull it off, if you can get it to go, it basically just allows you to kill stuff. I think the one with Wish Claw is like you get 8 artifacts on the field, and then you do something, you sacrifice them somehow, and it does damage and basically creates a bunch of mana, does a bunch of damage, blah blah blah, and basically at that point, like where you would have to be in the game in general, you just auto win. Now the question is, can you get 8 artifacts on the field fast enough? So that's what the deck is built around, trying to hit that combo in a perfect level of balance. But Yeah, I was looking. I keep peeking at standard. I keep peeking. I just look to see what's going on a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting that it was a combo control deck is has a potential, and everyone was saying, look, it's too early to say if this actually changes the format at all
Yeah.
because everyone's still solving. But it was an interesting thing to suddenly see on the field as actually viable.
Yeah.
So.
And if it is, I mean, that might push boxes up.
Yeah, well, it might. I don't know. I guess it depends. I don't know. Do
I
people
think
play standard in
yes, yes,
paper?
yes, yes.
I don't know if that's true, man. I draft, yes, but standard. I don't know. 60 card standard.
I mean, my example is my store, and the answer is yes.
Your store plays every format.
I know, but like,
So that is not an answer. Yes, that is an answer neutral.
yes, exactly.
Plays it as much as everything else.
That is where I was going with it.
Okay. I was like,
The example I can give
yet.
is not an accurate representation of most stores.
Of a market, yeah. If it didn't play every format and it was just standard, I'd be like, wow, that's impressive. But it literally plays every format and actually fires, which is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most stores struggle to fire the popular formats.
It's one of the, I mean, it's one of the largest stores in the half of the state. So yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It'll be interesting. It'll be fun to watch. I don't hate the limited. It's just one of those. There's a couple things you should know going in.
Yeah, a little complex, little.
Yeah.
With vehicles. Vehicles. Who likes vehicles? No one.
But they do. I don't know. I've had fun with it. I could see there's some very Tommy cards in it. I got the malicious achievement.
I was about to say, yeah, you milled someone out. You bastard.
I'm trying to find. There's a blue card. Aether Siphon. It's an artifact, 2 blue, 1 colorless. Start your engines. Pay 2 and tap it to draw a card. And at max speed, whenever you draw a card, each opponent mills 2 cards.
And you milled everyone out.
Mm-hmm. I only had 1 copy, but I milled 2 people out in that run. Because it's one of those things where you can get a large stall board state with many of the games, and if you have an alternate win con like this of just nowhere to put your mana but to draw cards because you have other lands that are like draw a card then discard a card, or I think it's discard a card to draw a card. So there were so many turns where like the board was stalled out, but I could put 2 mana into this to draw a card and then tap another land to discard that card and draw another card. And so that's milling 4 cards per turn. And in a later game, a 40 card format.
Oh, yeah. No, that'll shred someone. No doubt.
Yeah. And because a lot of my wall had lifelink. So if they attacked into it, it's like, oh, this game's just going to make the game even longer. So, yeah. I don't know. It's very one of those, if you are on top of it, I think if I continue drafting, I need to continue drafting sober.
Okay.
Because there were a couple times when I tried to do it last night after some scotch. I was just like, that didn't trigger the way I had it in my head.
Tommy's like, I read the card, but I did not understand the card.
No, I did things out of order or operate like the timing of things. Like you can announce your attackers, then you have an instant window, and so I buffed them. And then now they have that decision before they decide to block or not. And it's just like, cool. Yeah, I forgot about that. So just little weird things like that I lost a couple games on, but it was fine. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Aether Drift does. Definitely looking forward to Tarkir now. Not really looking back, but have what I want of Aether Drift. And do think that if you're looking to buy collectors, now was probably the good time.
Your window is now, most likely. I'm down on the set because I don't really like vehicles, but whether you like it or not, the supply is probably still limited, and this is
the scarcity will drive it.
Yeah. Based on what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and I think the play boxes are going to be misunderstood. And it'll be, I think that's the
lack of
interesting
packs
price.
and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that's actually going to be interesting as a first data point, just
Yeah.
to see
Like, I
how
think
that goes.
collectors are just going to, this is probably close to the bottom, and then it will either move up or slightly down. But the play boxes, it could go up, it could go down.
So something to think about. Remember, play boxes were new with Karloff Manor, right?
Yes.
And it was a crap set, generally speaking.
Yeah. Got all the
And
way down to like $75.
yeah, this low pack count is new with
Mm-hmm.
Aether, which is kind of a crap set. Like, it's not, in my mind, it's not like a super banger with tons of power and
I
all
think
that
it's
stuff.
getting a lot more love than Murders did.
Yeah, but my point is maybe they're doing that on purpose. They're putting in these new product structures around sets they think are going to do poorly, so that they are basically already scheduled to be bad releases, just based on what they're going to do with the set. And so they can change the rules around the bad release so that anywhere from there it just kind of goes up. That actually would make a lot of sense from a market
I'm
psychology
not sure I'm
standpoint.
following.
So basically, if you know a set's going to be less well received, you also want to do something that may be less well received as well, because the worst case scenario is it's already going to be bad, right?
Oh, okay.
Because say, okay, everyone complains when there's a change. There's always going to be someone that's going to complain, and the people that complain are
Yeah,
always the
change
loudest.
different is scary.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to have to make a change, and you know a set's probably not going to be the strongest, either based on pre-sale data or just general market data or whatever you already know. Maybe because you know the power level's not increasing in this set, and therefore it's not just going to be hunger for it for the power itself. So you know you're going to have weaker sets than others. So you put the big changes in with the weaker sets specifically because it creates a much more stable baseline. If you put it in with a stronger set and the box format wrecks the stronger set, and then you have a weaker set after, you're creating like this downward momentum situation.
I see. So not back to back.
It's now exactly now the baseline is all the craps in one place, and it can only go up from here, sort of thing. That's the thought process I was going through. Now, is that true? I don't freaking know, but
Yeah.
it makes sense, and it worked with Karloff Manor because from there, play boxes became accepted. Everything went up after that, right?
I
And
think Outlaws struggled a little bit.
Outlaws was considered a massive win.
Yeah.
It was not. It did not.
No. The price of the play box. It didn't. It wasn't at the 130s, 140s. It's at now.
I don't really pay attention to play boxes because it's like those are always they're not collectible.
Well, we were talking about Murder's
I'm just saying
play.
in general.
Yeah.
General.
Yeah.
So.
No, they're for playing.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, anyways, I was gonna look up cardboard finance stuff on it, but I'm pretty sure Outlaws was pretty much a banger sale. It wasn't as popular as Boom Burrow, which is not easy or like
No, but I mean its
impossible to match.
bottom was 116.
Okay.
Which isn't too far off of where Aether is now.
99, which was its bottom.
Yeah. Oh,
so far?
True. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, because when it came out, it did the same thing. It was at like 150 in pre-order, and then dropped to 132. And then supply dried up, went up to 144, then more came back, 130. Eventually the buyers weren't there, but more supply came, and it went down to 116, and now it's been steadily selling. But now supply is, I guess, running lower, so it's up to 138. They are, like, a lot of these are selling. But now they're down to like one a day. But
are you talking about play boxes?
Yeah, Outlaws.
Yeah.
It seems like the 140 is where these play boxes get down to the one a day sales.
That makes sense because that's expensive.
That's very expensive.
Yeah. Especially something that's currently live, you know.
Right,
like it's
but
a recent set.
Except for the two that stand out are Duskmorn, that's at two a day, and at 144. So even higher and selling more. Duskmoor is becoming like Bloomborough.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at that. I was surprised to see it's literally right beneath Bloomborough and total spent
Mm-hmm.
and number of boxes.
There's some good cards in Duskmoor.
I guess so. I did not like it.
It's
My opening
good.
experience with that, I was like, this stinks.
You like the draft though?
The draft was fun. Yeah. This is total. I'm looking at the total.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
total cash, total boxes, and that's across every product.
Yeah.
Which is that's crazy. It's Bloomberg level,
Mm-hmm.
like 36,000 versus 32,000.
Mm-hmm.
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you like it's kind of also being told in Rudy's monthly boxes, right? Where he has Bloomborough limited to one box, and then what's the other thing that has a caveat? Duskmoor, that there was a shipping delay, that he was out.
Yeah, I don't know how much I use that as a data point though,
No.
because we don't know what his supply chain is. I know he gets some directly from Wizard. I
Yeah.
know he gets them from distro. I know
Yeah.
he gets them from stores.
Yeah.
So without knowing, so my point is that is a lumpy and varied supply.
Yes.
We cannot compare
No.
product by product because
And I
we have
wasn't-
no idea what the basis is for it. You know.
I wasn't referring to the supply. I was referring to that's where he's getting hit for demand.
But you don't know that because you don't know.
Oh, because you don't know the original
If the
supply.
supply
Yeah,
is
okay.
10% of everything else, then
Sure.
that happens automatically, right?
That
Just
makes
from
sense.
regular sales. Yeah,
That makes sense.
that's what my
Yeah,
that was
okay. I didn't think about that. But
yeah, if it was a more steady supply, which it sounds like he is starting to be with the play box, like
Yeah.
the fact that he can guarantee play boxes at a certain price for some amount of time.
yeah.
Like it sounds like he's figured something out with WotC Direct, so he's
Yeah.
basically a distributor now. I don't know. It's a weird one,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, he's not telling anyone. Foundations
sure.
was actually worse than murders.
The drop
That's
off.
no the total sold, total
Oh.
boxes, and total money. That surprises me.
Yeah, even with collect. Oh, and pre. Oh, because it didn't.
It's
The collector
everything.
didn't. Oh, up to date.
Yeah, to date, yeah. Foundations is 14,000 boxes. Murders is 17,000, and
But that murders has a whole extra year, pretty much.
Is it a whole extra year?
Yeah.
Either way, I'm still surprised it's that low. It's not like you get a whole lot of extra sales after the initial release.
Do you think they changed how much play boxes they're printing when they changed the collector boxes?
I have no idea. I would say yes, just based on the fact that we've had a few of them like run out.
Yeah. Which never
like
happened.
way early. Yeah, exactly. Way earlier than anyone was anticipating. So my guess is yes, but I also kind of feel like they're probably tweaking that set by set as opposed to being more static with it, like it seems they are with collector boxes. They just like sliced it down real low, and then it seems like it stayed low. I feel like play boxes are probably experimenting. The same with like the pack numbers and all that stuff. Like every 6 months, there's probably a slight shift. They're trying to figure out something.
Yeah,
It's hard
murder.
to say that.
MKM was February 2024. Foundations.
11/15/2024.
Okay, so
9 months later.
Yeah. Not a whole year, but
Yeah, but still a good distance difference.
yeah. And murders was cheap for a long time, which I think just people bought because it was.
Foundations. To be fair, Foundations has sold more in dollars, less boxes, but
Yes.
2 million versus 1.3 million. So
Yeah.
it still is beating it out to by one count. But it was interesting. Because Foundations felt like it was such a fire sale at the time. So
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be around for 5 years.
I agree. That's why it's like that's crazy. It was crazy when it was a fire sale with it being around for 5 years. Everyone knew that, but it felt so in high demand and
Because I think standard.
hype.
Standard.
I
Standard?
think people just
hype?
love the cards.
Yeah.
They love the pretty cards, the
do.
anime versions of all their staples.
They do. Do you know what I wish they'd stop doing though?
Mm.
The Japanese text.
Oh God, yeah, I agree with that.
It's like, it's cool, I get it, if it fits the theme of the set. But just in any set, Because if I pull a card that's hard to pull, that hard to pull, I want it to be in English so I can.
Yeah, I did that. I pulled
Yeah.
one of those fancy the dragons from Foundations, and it was the Japanese version. I didn't even realize there was an English version. I sold it on TCG Player, and the person reached out to me and they said, "I bought the English version. Can I get the card I bought?" And I was like, "I didn't even realize there was an English version because it's like the crazy anime one." So I
Yep.
just thought they were all Japanese, and I was like, "I
Nope.
am so sorry." And they're like, Okay, well, you can refund me the difference if you want, because there is a difference. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. I'll do that. No problem. Sorry
Yeah.
so much. I
Yeah.
did not realize I'm an idiot. Like, I didn't realize there was even an English version.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's time to move on. Brackets, Commander,
This is your scene.
what do you think?
I think it makes sense, but I don't ever plan on playing with randoms.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, the only time I play Commander, you're in the room. So, it's, and I just, so like, if we're playing with your decks and you're just like, yeah, these decks work together, I'll be like, okay. I don't care what number they are, what bracket they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
But
well, and they did
for,
start the article that way. Like, if you have a good pod and it's fine, ignore all this.
yeah.
That was the very beginning. It's like this
Yeah.
is only for places where you're random matchups and
Which,
you're trying to make it a little
for
better
that, I
matchups.
agree. And you could almost start to create like a weekly competitive event that way.
Sure.
But then you, as a community, need to figure out what bracket you're playing in. And maybe you change it up every now and then, but you have to give people time to put a deck together for that.
That's the part I see as the issue. Unless you have a stabilized community that's focused on tier 3, tier 4, whatever, right? It becomes very tricky to shift or like show up at your shop with a 2 and it's a 3 night or vice versa.
People show up with a bunch of different decks usually.
Sure. But
and so maybe they just have one for each bracket.
And then you have to pull out cards or put them in depending on if you want to change what deck. Like it adds a headache that I'm not sure people are that interested in having.
But if it's a way that they could get more people in stores for a more competitive scene for Commander format.
Commander has never struggled to attract people to a store.
Yeah, that's fair.
It has always been the thing that was always working. Like always.
But then why do this? Like they must have seen some need for this. Was anyone asking for this?
No, not really. It was because they got rid of the rules. The rules committee quit. Yeah. Remember?
So this was their answer to their rules. This is
like their attempt to try to, take a step in the right direction or whatever. The reality is, no one was asking for it specifically, other than everyone complaining that everything's a rule or a 7, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. At least they're trying to do something, I guess, and give them time to sort it out. But
they said it was in beta, so
yeah, they did. They said it's in beta. This whole thing, they have these game changers. I think that's probably fine. Yeah. So like tier 3 is probably where most people will play, and that's 3 game changers in your deck.
Yeah.
But now are we gonna do deck checks of 100-card decks?
Dear Lord.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's where it's like this is kind of nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there are some people that enjoy this type of structure, and it does it adds value to cards that are like a super strong in a tier 3, right? So maybe we see some spikes in card, like if this takes off, which I don't think it will. I wonder if those different tier, like cards that are really good in those tiers but just are ignored right now, could see spikes if it's popular enough. But I don't think it's popular enough for that to happen. But I don't know. You could see some cards that don't normally sell or are penny cards maybe become quarter cards.
Yeah, I don't know if it will have a big impact on that sort of thing. I just don't think it will be adopted as much. As people want or think it will be.
No, Commander's very casual.
That's the problem. Like, why are you trying to make like you were just like if people want this structured format, it's like then play Modern, then play a structured format.
But they don't actually want. They think Commander can be a structured format.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make a casual format a structured format.
It's 100 card singleton. It's 100
It's
card singleton.
madness. Like you're not. It's madness.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone always argues about this because everyone's very passionate and loves Commander.
I mean, the Commander community, people ignore that you need legal cards and just do proxies. Like, it's people play the ban card. People play Jewel Lotus still, and when the and so like, I mean, did that stick in your group?
Not in our group, but our group ignores all the rules,
exactly,
like including ban card. We don't care. Like we'll play with banned cards.
Yeah.
So our group doesn't count. Stores though, they've respected Jeweled Lotus banning and all that stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, we don't really give a crap. Although I have seen someone push back on the ban list, like we should respect the ban list, and we're all like, okay.
So there's some influence starting to seek in.
Is it? It's just the new player.
Oh, then never mind.
That's why no one's taking them seriously. Everyone's like, okay, whatever. Rolls eyes, cool. Adds it in the deck. If it shows up and he's going to complain about it, fine. It becomes mana at that point. But I don't think anyone's going to actually notice or complain about it.
No.
It is funny to look at the game changer list and see that colorless and blue have the same number, very close to the same number of banned cards or they're not banned. They're game changer cards, so they're restricted.
Yeah.
So what's that mean? Blue is just powerful. Blue is just awesome. It's as good as colorless. Yeah, that's what it means. It's that good.
Yeah,
that good.
Drawing's good in a card game.
Oh God. Yeah, seems like a lot of
means nothing to me.
Yeah, it's a lot of issues for very little gain is what I'm seeing, and I guess and. So here's the thing.
But now they can announce.
You should be trying to regulate for is the bad actors, and it explicitly say in the beginning a bad actor can bypass the system easily, like cheat and be a dick.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the one thing you actually need to have an impact on is the bad actors, not everything else. Everything else is fine in the right context, the right everyone's trying to have fun and make sure everyone else is having fun. Like none of this helps with that. It's the bad actors that you got to look out for, which means these rules are useless for the one case that is most important for random matchups, which is bad actors.
Right.
So I don't know. Feels like a lot of waste.
Yeah. But now they can announce like as new commander decks with new game changers that are added directly to the game changer list.
Will that happen? I don't think that's going to happen.
No? You don't think they're going to come out with new powerful commander decks with new game changers?
Literally have a whole tier specifically dedicated to pre-constructed decks.
Sure.
So why would they add things that are illegal in that tier? That would be very confusing to players. It's like I just bought this pre-constructed deck. I can play in my tier 2.
John, what did we just talk about?
Cards in it that you can't play in tier 2 that count as upgrades.
Tell me when we haven't talked about how Wizards confuses their players.
Well, that's true. And who knows if the people who are involved in this like tier structure, because it's a different team, right?
Yeah.
Is the
and they could just print
what's in a pre-con. They're probably totally different teams.
Yeah, and you could just print tier whatever on the packaging.
Again, they're not going to create tiered products. It seems very unlikely.
Pokemon does it.
This literally says the average current pre-constructed deck is the core.
The average pre-constructed deck.
The next tier is upgraded from a pre-constructed deck. It's literally the name.
Yeah, but then they come out with premium constructed decks with game changers included.
That's possible, and then you also do have the master set decks and stuff, which are typically more powerful.
So the next Commander master set.
God, I hope they don't do that, but
straight to precon new game changer card.
Might as well print some.
So you're telling me no new cards are going to get added to the game changer list? That's just a permanent reserve list of game changers. It's in beta. It's gonna change. There's going to be new cards printed that are added to it.
That's not what I'm saying at all. Yeah, but they won't be in pre-cons. That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
because precons are typically weak.
I mean, yeah, but then you have like what, the Lord of the Rings, the Fallout, the Master Set commander decks.
Yeah,
that
but
aren't.
none of those have any of the game changers in them.
None of them?
Pretty sure. Look at the game changer
That'd be
list.
interesting.
It's Cyclonic Rift. It's Force of Will. It's Jessica's Will. It's, you know what I mean? Like Gaia's Cradle. That's not in any deck.
No.
Mock Diamond. That's not in any deck. Mana Vault. That's not in any Ancient Tomb. None of these are in any of the decks. The One Ring I don't think is, right?
No.
Smothering Tithe I don't think is. I'm looking to see if any of these could be. Keenan Bonder Prodigy theoretically could be way back, one of the older, because I feel like that card was pretty common. Eureka the Tiger Shadow, did they create a precon around him?
I don't know.
Or I can't remember if it's a her or him. But most of these are not. Most of these are like old school. Like some of them are even reserve lists, like Sarah Sanctum and Gaia's Cradle, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of them are just old school powerhouses.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they'd put any of these in at precon. Hence the idea that they're game changers, they're high power, and they shouldn't be in precon level.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not super excited about it, but it also doesn't impact me. So
yeah, it doesn't impact me at all.
Other people's opinions are more valid than mine, because I honestly don't play the situation where this is most directly supposed to have an impact, which is in store matchups. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Pokemon.
Battle Style sold out. We've been talking about it the past 2 weeks, and now it's gone.
Called it. Yep. 2 or 3 weeks now.
Yep.
Knew that was coming.
Yep.
It has not moved up in price, though, last I looked.
No, I doubt it.
Yeah. It was the same, like 1,200. I think the last sell was 1,100 on one.
It'll be interesting to see how many 0 to 10 sales sellers are listing Battle Styles in 6 weeks.
I'm going to look it up.
6
Why
to
would it
12
be
weeks.
6 weeks?
Because it's a bunch of people ordering it. And then I'm also starting to see on the Pokemon subreddits, how do I sell my stuff?
Yeah, nothing has changed.
No
new sales.
The amount of posts that I've seen that are just like, hey, I'm new to this. I have all this stuff. How do I sell it?
Ooh, okay. So the Battle Style single boxes have been climbing.
I bet.
So that actually is going up. So the cases will probably follow behind. And that's, as of today, there's a new high sale at 176. Previous was 154 yesterday. Day before was 169, 164. So it's floating in that 50 to 80 range, we'll call it.
Yeah, because the price will be up.
The upward pressure now that you can't get it at Poke Shop.
Yeah, and the price will be up to a point where they will break even.
Yeah, well, I think it already is. It already was. That's why I thought that was a good buy, because you could get it at a stable price, a known price, guaranteed price, and then sell it at a break even. Like that means fees and shipping and everything essentially eats your profit. But if it goes above that price at all, you'll make some money. So, well, I lucked out, or I saw the market correctly this time. I'd say more the latter than the first, because I did look at it and I was like, yeah, these are both going to sell out any second now. And they sure did. Then 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now I just wait for the supply to dry up.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how long this market booms for Pokemon.
I'm guessing we're at the top sometime soon. Like, again, within the next 6 months sort of time frame. But based on the calming of certain things, it's not booming and going up like crazy gangbusters anymore. And then the economic stuff that's coming down the pipe and everything else, I have a feeling we're reaching our top sometime soon.
Yeah.
You put a note you're going to ignore Pokemon until the next bear market?
Yeah. I sold my last ETB, so I'm officially out of everything.
Wow, I still have some.
I don't know. I'm moving it all into Magic collectors, and those have been continuing to go up. So I don't know. For now.
Dun dun dun.
But
Flesh and blood.
a lot of the Pokemon that I did sell was Scarlet and Violet, and I do think that we're gonna get more of those. And so, what I had, I think, will go up more in the Magic collectors than in the Pokemon. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I think there's a lot of investment demand in Pokemon compared to Magic. Like people that don't actually want the cards, because like the cards in the Pokemon boxes are 99% of them are pennies.
Yep.
So, where with Magic, like worst case scenario, you break them into singles and you sell the singles. And then with collectors and the demand and the smaller print runs, it's just scarcity. We'll carry it or hold it up. Where Pokemon relies on this heavy demand to be elevated at this price.
Yeah.
Because they aren't
to the
inherently
whole rip and chip narrative. I feel like that.
Oh, that's still going. No, that's still going.
It's still going, but apparently it's not impacting the prices.
What do you mean? The prices are still going up.
Prices have been flatlined.
You just said Battle Styles has been going up. The boxes.
The singular boxes just went up post the out of print. Which there's always a bump.
But Battle Styles isn't the one being rip and chipped.
Well, that's true. That's true.
It's all the Scarlet Violet stuff right now, and Prismatic Evolutions and Journey Together coming, and then the Rocket set, which isn't actually a full Rocket set. So I think people lost momentum in that looking ahead. It came out that it's just it's combined with another set, so it's not like a full Team Rocket set. But yeah, I mean, Twilight Masquerade's at $200 box. And it's going into the singles too. Like a lot. I've been selling a lot of singles for Pokemon. Especially like anything 151, even down to the reverse hollows are worth a couple bucks, which is pretty crazy. So I said 99% of things. 151 is that is not true. Almost every card is worth at least 25, 50 cents. But the packs are like 11 bucks now.
I hate Pokemon. I'm trying to look through the stupid pricing, and there's all these scams, so you can't see the damn price.
I just look at the market price.
I know, but I want to see more detailed data than that, and
I know
all this shit in there.
Yep.
A bunch of loose packs. It's like that's not what a booster box is. It should not be allowed to be listed.
Did you see what's going on with Aether Drift is doing that too?
It's so annoying.
Like on the play box, there's a $15 unopened Aether Drift empty play booster box, no cards, for $15, and you can list that. It's just an empty booster box.
Okay, Lost Origin case, right?
Yeah.
Lost Origin booster box case is the listing I'm looking at. The first list is Lost Origin 3-pack blister case, 72 packs per case. That's not even the same product.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's listed for $649, which of course is the lowest by a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, you jerks.
It's not even the right product.
Why is that allowed? Somebody ban that dude. So annoying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's just to get eyes on it.
It's just a mess. Like, it's really hard to interpret stuff when they have all this crap under everything. No wonder I stopped tracking every price. It's a pain in the ass.
Yes. Yes.
I was just trying to validate whether everything's flatlining or not, which I really feel like it is. Most of the charts I'm looking at just have plateaued and flatlined.
Yeah. A lot of at the case level, you got to look at the box level right now.
Who cares about boxes? Who cares?
When they go up 10, 20 bucks?
That's not really super remarkable.
No. But when they do it week after week after week.
That's the problem, is that I'm proposing again. Like even involving skies is down.
Oh yeah, the older box, like I said,
Yeah, we hit
yeah,
the peak and
we
came
hit the
back.
peak for those. Yeah, yeah. So to tie in Pokemon into our title, why MSRP doesn't matter. Um, people were complaining, or boxes have been low for a long time, and then we've gone in. Now we're here with these $200 boxes, and people are saying about MSRP, which is 160, but no one would have bought for 160 a while back when things were going for 90, 100.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's only a discussion now that we're over. But is Pokemon trying to, is this squeeze to try and get boxes closer to MSRP? And then people, now that they're complaining that it's not MSRP, will be happy that it's MSRP? Like, are they going to be happy when it gets back down to that and then the supply's there for that? I feel like but the market just decides.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever happy. Like, it doesn't matter where things are, someone's going to complain about it. That's just always reality, especially in the card world.
Right. And with Magic, collector boxes MSRP for a standard set is 300.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. Aether Drift MSRP collector box is $300.
They actually have MSRP listed for individual sets now?
Yeah. They have it on a pack level.
Oh, that's right. I remember the pack
listing. Yeah. Aether Drift is $24.99 a pack for collectors.
Got it. So weird. MSRP's stupid, but whatever.
But so I wonder if like both Magic and Pokemon are just doing smaller print runs to try and get people used to these higher MSRP prices, and that we just do a resetting. Because I mean, like you see the end of the draft box, the play box, they're messing around with it. They still want it to be around the same price probably, but it's just how many packs you actually get in it, and I don't know.
I think part of it is they're just adjusting to maintain revenue, right? So you have a lower demand in general, just economic change, post-COVID era, right? Not everyone's sitting at home spending money, right? And so we had that collapse, and they adjusted the print runs, and now they're trying to find that equilibrium to maintain growth in revenue while probably by reducing the demand or reducing the supply so that the demand outweighs the supply and drives it up in a secondary market, because they know part of what drives initial sales, first sales, is the hype around what happens in the secondary. So they engineer the secondary to do something that draws attention. That's free marketing, right? And then basically use that as a means to help sell product, which works because then distro holds some back and they sell it at a higher price, and then they sell out completely as opposed to having a bunch sitting in warehouses when they have too much product, etc.
Yeah.
That is my guess. It certainly seems to be working because people lose their mind.
Yeah. It'll be really interesting, like this time next year, if we are closer to that MSRP, just like out the gate with things.
I doubt it. I would say almost definitely not.
Because it's never been that way.
Stop MSRP again.
Yeah. Yeah, because we only...
I feel like they only ever keep it for a little while and then they get rid of it again.
Yeah, because in Magic's, they specifically called out Foundations, Innistrad Remastered, and Aether Drift.
Yeah. It's so funny that that's like a thing.
Yeah. I mean, Pokemon's is PokemonCenter.com, right?
They've always had it. They're consistent.
Yeah.
So that won't change. But Magic, no. I don't think we'll have MSRP.
When they're calling it out, when they're calling out by sets.
Yeah.
Well, for this set, it'll be this. And this set, like 3 sets in a row, and they all have different MSRPs. Okay.
Yeah, that's very confusing.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. MSRP.
Yeah.
Map. Fab.
Yeah. We're above map, but not at MSRP on the Hunted.
Yep.
Cool story.
Good job.
Some of the 2.0 boxes have been moving, but the original boxes, the original 3, 4, 5, 6, straight chilling.
Yeah, well, early era seems to hold with the theory that old cards are less, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just not as good because they power up and the next set is better than the last set, sort of thing. And then old isn't important yet in Fab, which is a little strange at this time because we're at 7 years now, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
19, no, 6 years. So what happens from here? The middle and more recent stuff is kind of all spiking because supply has run out. That was after the adjustments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although it was Dynasty was before 2.0, wasn't it?
No,
No,
Dynasty is
Uprising was
2.0.
2.0.
Yeah.
That's right. So basically print run adjustment period is now seeing more normal TCG market behaviors, i.e., spike on release, drop over time, check mark, and then rise, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I would say this is very unsustainable levels and prices. I could be wrong about that, and maybe this is one of those sneaky situations where the market suddenly spikes because no one realized that the supply was running out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a thing. But usually there's a big pullback from these sorts of things, so keep that in mind. But like Dynasty is a perfect example. The current lowest listing is $7.99. The market price is
Per case.
$4.36. What's that?
For a case.
Oh yeah, sorry, for a case. Yeah. Yeah, so
because it's 210 for a box.
Yeah, and then if you look at the booster box case of Outsiders, similar thing is happening. Market price is 352, but there's only 2 listings, 545 being the lowest for the case again. So that uprising and beyond time frame seems to be going through a little bit of a price renaissance. I expect that it will be short-lived and will revise back down. But as of the time of this, there's not that many uprising boxes left before it spikes. I still do not recommend speculating on Fab.
No.
Bright Lights has a bit more supply, but that's a very specialty set, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, minimal demand for it.
Yeah. And then old stuff ain't worth nothing.
Yeah.
Ain't worth nothing.
Nothing.
Oh my god. Crucible of War Unlimited is $60.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 12 listings.
Yeah.
But it's $60.
Yeah. Weird, right?
No, because the old stuff is less powerful. Like it's
I know.
player's
I know.
game. Like that's
it was
the
a
part
sarcastic weird.
Yeah, it's just like it never is. They gave up on collecting, like explicitly. They took it out of their ethos or whatever their mission statement thing, and the market reflects that.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, then you have Rudy hyping it up. And I think after his first video, I went and looked at things because I had pulled my boxes down. And the amount of boxes that were added.
Oh, yeah. His hype added to the supply and dropped the price.
Yeah. But, I mean, Dynasty seems to be being bought out right now.
It is clearly gone.
Yeah.
But if you were to dump some more on there, I bet you wouldn't get much more of a price than what it's sold
and
for.
there aren't any confirmed sales over 200. It's right at 200.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the supply is running low, but not, there's some in closets, right?
Yes.
And if there's a reasonable sale through volume, people will put it up again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's flesh and blood.
It's flesh and blood.
So you were saying Rudy's going to put an Arcane kit out?
Yeah, Arcane first with a playmat. He was talking about doing it in one of his recent videos.
Dumping the second oldest set on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Poor market.
But why would you put that on the market when everything's going so well?
Yeah.
That's my question for
The
this.
better
For
question is, why would you hype things when you're about to put stuff on the market?
yeah,
That when framed that way, it makes a lot more sense.
yeah.
Sorry, Rudy, if you're listening. I know you're not, but
No, no. Yeah, it just yeah. I was like, okay, sure. Everything he said about Fab in his recent videos, I'm just like, yes, these are true things. But
you make it sound way better
yeah,
than it is.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Should we jump over to economics? We've been rambling on long enough.
Yeah, that's fine.
Uh, just a few little facts that showed up over the course of the week. I'll do it really quickly. Consumer credit card debt, new record high again.
How
Typically,
much? How much
what's
of
up?
that credit card new record high is Pokemon?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But probably a small percentage considering how big the U.S.
No,
economy
I
is.
know, I know, I know. I just thought it would be.
Yeah, there's
How
definitely
many
some.
people using leverage to buy
Yeah,
Pokemon right
don't
now?
do that. Don't do that, guys. So that's typically a bad sign. It means cash is not equaling expenses, inflation, etc. And thus that causes problems in the long run. It doesn't immediately, but it's one of those early signs that there could be trouble because eventually people have to pay that credit card debt and can't afford it. Uh, retail revenue, so like retail stores, like I guess Macy's and that type of thing, that category,
Mm-hmm.
hit a new low. Again, people not spending. So credit card debt's too high, can't go and buy new clothes, can't go and buy new stuff at retail shops. Uh, gonna cut back on that. That's a problem. That just shows that the economy is slowing down from boots on the ground or generic people spending on things. They are not spending on extra things as much, which is another early sign that we'll see, more layoffs and things like that. Ford CEO came out and said this tariff thing is just pure chaos. So this is an American car manufacturer that manufactures cars in America. The people that supposedly being protected by all this are saying this is madness and it makes it very hard to build cars, which is true. We knew that was going to happen with the
The
Canada and
Canada.
Canada and Mexico, tariff issue is a huge deal for car manufacturers because they make different parts in different areas and then bring them all together in America. So that's kind of a predicted downfall of this. But having the Ford CEO come out and make a big statement in the news is not something that happens too commonly. So worth noting. There is a risk of default. Some of the goofing around with the Treasury and all that stuff. A lot of people in the financial world are starting to question, how much can you trust U.S. debt? Like, will it actually be paid if some random person can just kind of say, no, we're not going to pay it?
Yeah.
I brought it up myself a while ago because that was the first thing I thought of. Now it's hitting headlines. So I do think, financial risk measurers, people out there that are there to de-risk different portfolios, are starting to look at U.S. debt as a less than safe. Now, granted, still probably some of the safest in the world, but less than it used to be, less safe than it used to be. So that means they have to de-risk in other ways, gold, etc. And then last thing, this one was interesting. Housing debt to income ratio and serious delinquencies and foreclosures are up in Q4 of 24. Just got that data. Basically shows that people are having a hard time making their mortgages, right? So they're starting to get foreclosed on, and that means that will have an impact on the housing market, which is a huge chunk of CPI and a bunch of other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it
So if
makes a
that
big
cools,
difference. Yeah, and a
yeah.
lot of different things end up getting affected when you start seeing house foreclosures. Potential good news if you've been on the lookout for buying a house, this may be the dip that everyone's been waiting for. It comes up in the next quarter or two. I don't know. I'm not going to put my money on that, but there may be an opportunity if you've been waiting to buy a house and you have your savings held up that you're waiting for better interest rates or whatever, because I know a lot of people have been struggling with that. They're like, I could buy a house except the interest rates are so high. This may be part of the time frame to do that depending on what happens. Now the risky part we talked about last week is stagflation, where you have this inflationary situation. Interest rates have to go up because we're seeing inflation on consumer goods and that sort of thing. But then at the same time, people are losing their jobs, so growth is down as well. Stagflation happened back in the 80s and was, I think it was 70s, 80s, mostly around oil embargoes, and it can lead to very difficult and sticky economic situations where none of the levers work the way they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of get stuck in this area for a while. Back then, I think it lasted, I want to say like 8 years or something. It was pretty rough. And it made it very difficult to buy a house. It made it very difficult to kind of like make ends meet. It was a very challenging time economically to navigate for everyone, top to bottom. So it's one of those things you really want to try to avoid. But we're starting to see the impact of tariffs and unpredictable marketplaces, along with risky business decisions, or rather business decisions in regard to risk, such as layoffs in order to de-risk your balance sheet, what you have to pay out as a employer. You look at your financials and say,
Mm-hmm.
seems like we don't know what's about to happen, so better to have cash than to have extra people that we don't know if we're going to be able to put to work, right? Because of
Yep.
uncertain market conditions. So they lay people off because it's the most expensive thing, to hoard cash to make sure that they're in a good place if something does go terribly wrong or whatever. And that starts to lead to this kind of weird situation, deflationary. I guess it's not deflationary. It's just it's the stagflation potential, right?
Yeah.
Because there's less money going into the markets, so from incomes, personal incomes. So we're seeing all that stuff kind of play out. It's not unpredictable. It's kind of what we've been saying for a while. Basically, since a lot of the announcements from the Trump administration on what they wanted to do economically started to come out, the implications were fairly clear if those things were true. And now we're starting to see more and more of those things are becoming true. The tariffs are actually being put into place, etc. So that's how it goes.
Fun.
Yep. But if you are looking to buy a house, you might have a good opportunity soon.
Mm-hmm.
If you are looking to pick up cheap collectible cards, you might
Mm-hmm.
have a good opportunity soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still in the same position I was, last few months. Like a third of cash is fine.
Yeah.
I will take advantage of the opportunities as they show up, but I'm not in a everything's dire situation. I will say my invested capital has shifted towards safer things. I have more in like commodities, golds, etc., than I did before, just to kind of de-risk some of the equity market turbulence that's probably going to happen as a result of this. So, but that's something you have to balance for yourself, depending on where you are in life and what you're trying to do. Preserve capital, gain returns. Everyone
Yeah.
has a different situation, tax situation, etc. So,
Yeah. I was watching something where they were talking about that and switching into gold and other things. And then the first thing that he mentioned of those other things was Bitcoin. And I laughed because it was like he was a guy I would not have expected to say Bitcoin. Just an older
that's
guy.
interesting. So I will say what's happening with Bitcoin, just because I do follow that space pretty closely, is we're seeing a very different global outlook in the past few months, and you can say this is because of Trump to a degree. I think it's more some of the people he put in place around the SEC and such.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Basically, they are friendly to crypto, or at least not adversarial like previous administrations have been. And so there's more likely going to be strong regulatory frameworks around it. Now, who follows laws? I don't know, especially in high finance. I feel like a lot of people don't.
Right.
But the fact that there will be more clarity on how to treat different products in the crypto space means it will give more clarity on how to develop, and it will allow for more development.
Mm-hmm.
That said, all the big banks are putting money into it now, and a lot of states are putting it
Yeah.
in as a reserve, a financial reserve. And so when you see that happening, it means there's some kind of noise in the market, in the connected, in the the big players, that says this is a place to de-risk dollar uncertainty,
Mm-hmm.
because dollar uncertainty is a big factor right now. Kind of the same things we were talking about with the debt,
Yeah.
the U.S. debt. And so Bitcoin becomes a basket of international currencies, because it's not just in US dollar, right? You can buy it from every country on the planet right now. And so as a result, it basically acts as a hedge against any one. And that is what we're seeing, big players do. Now, if that takes off to a great degree, then it becomes a huge booming place. Treating it like gold, I think, is folly. It's a very different type of commodity, but I understand the comparison. Like, it's definitely a comparison that's been made over the decades. It's just, if you look at its historic VIX, volatility index, it is less like gold than other things. It's funny, for a long time, it was similar to, but not in tandem with oil.
Huh.
Oil goes through these strong commodity periods where it's very stable, and then it goes through these strong periods of high volatility. It's very similar to what crypto does. Bitcoin itself has strong periods of stability, like a couple of years, and then it has these massive periods of like disruption for like a couple of years. So it's usually around a 4 to 6 year cycle. So I'll have like a year of like crazy spikes and 10x gains,
Yeah.
and then it declines, crashes, and stabilizes for another, like it takes a year to decline, and it takes stabilizes for 2 to 3 years. So it behaves more like, its volatility behaves more like something like oil than gold. Gold is a very different animal, even though I know a lot of people like to compare Bitcoin to gold as a reserve or whatever.
Yeah, it was
It's
just the two being connected. I was like, that's a weird thing to hear on the news.
It is, but it's not completely unheard of.
No,
Like, it's
no,
definitely
no,
been
no.
around. Yeah, it's just now becoming a more standard um, perspective, I guess. So, and that's the news.
So what does it mean? What does it mean?
Same thing as before. There's risk in the market. There's uncertainty in the market. It will continue for the next X number of months. My guess is 6 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Opportunities will come up at some point during that period, maybe a little bit after, and have yourself prepared to take advantage of opportunities to get outsized returns.
Yeah.
Same thing as before.
Yeah.
It's just getting closer to real. More, before it was like a red flag here, a red flag there. Remember, like maybe a month or two ago, we
Yeah.
talked about it. It's like
Yeah.
there's none of this is actually like a big flag. These are just
No.
little data points. The data points are piling up, right?
Yeah.
Now, the things I listed this week are all like early markers of bigger problems, credit card debt, retail revenue lows, those things, and then housing defaults. Those things are, you know, rubber meets the road economics, like day to day household economics.
Mm-hmm.
And when those things all shake simultaneously, it means there's a broader weakness. And by broader, I mean it's affecting more people, which means it will pop up in different industries faster, depending on, well, actually, it's somewhat predictable. Luxury first, and then it goes down chain to needs, right? The what you can stop buying first, and then all
Yeah.
the way down to what you have to like skimp on because you can't afford it. That kind of waterfall of activity starts to show up in these, initial indicators, and then it grows. And then as that indicator, gets to a red zone for that industry, then you start seeing reactions such as layoffs, et cetera. So all that stuff is starting to pile up and starting to happen. We've not seen it in the unemployment data yet, but that is a trailing indicator that takes about a quarter before you see it. So by the time you see it, it's kind of already been going on for 3 months. So we'll see where that data is over the next couple of months. But I'd say these early indicators are, more data points piling in the same direction.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Yep. Oh, inflation came in, I think, this week too at 3%, which was higher than expected, or
Yeah.
3.1, something like that. So that was another one of those points. But that's been all over the place over the past, year.
Yeah.
We've had high and low and high and low and high and low, and you know what I mean. So, and it wasn't like an unbearable number. It was just
Yeah.
higher than
Yeah.
expected. They were hoping it continued down, and it did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'll hit during. Because I mean, if people don't have money for Final Fantasy and people don't have money for Spider-Man,
I don't know.
I think
don't
people
think it's
will.
a
I think
thing
people will find money for it.
I was gonna say, I don't think it's a thing that hits, as in like we have one day collapse, crash, whatever. Like this isn't gonna be the
No,
08.
no, no. It's just going to
It's
be
gonna
a.
be a long
Yeah.
decline
Yeah.
and a long pain period, and then a long reinvigoration, and that's just, it's not unusual.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll be here next week if the world's still spinning to figure out what's going on.
Yep.
So until next week, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.